right, and we're back, everyone. Welcome to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. My name is Jules, aka DJ. I tell you what, I'm the host, and I have my co-host, my dad, Cowboy Joe, formerly known and also known as Capricorn One. And today we're going to talk about the game last night, the Cowboys versus the Raiders preseason game. It was the game two, and quite a few things that jumped out to us, and so we're gonna bring it to you all so we can get you all's opinion and see what you all think. So, what did you want to highlight about last night?
Appreciate you guys joining for our fifth episode. Watching the game last night, the guy that jumped off the screen is Andrew Booth Jr., the corner that we acquired in the Deshaun Wright trade. He jumped right off the screen. He brought a level of physicality that we are missing. And the thing that I really liked about him was he got beat early on, and he actually showed some recovery speed on that play. I almost actually knocked that ball down, but the thing that was impressive is he, just after that play happened, he came back and just really played a strong game, just physicality, coming up, making tackles. One of the things that's been affecting our team over the years is we had a lot of guys just want to make big plays. They want to make interceptions and get sacks, but that down-to-down physicality, that's the thing that we were missing. So some of the guys that we're talking about here, they really, really just brought a level of physicality that we need. And he was one of the guys that did that. I think he had 8 tackles.
Mm-hmm. And also, Wanye, I'm a Wanye fan. I know you are too. Wanye brought some. He always bring the juice. I like to call it. He always bring the juice. Wanye does. Okay, this is the kickoff. Let me see.
So Wanye Thomas is really vying for that starting position. I know we, haven't seen a lot of Wanye because of the politics that were involved with the previous staff, Dan Quinn. But, Zimmer is the type of coach that he's going to play guys that can play. So hopefully Wanye Thomas is a guy that, can, if he's not a starter, at least he can get on the field and start making some plays for it, because he is a playmaker. He's physical. He's fast.
That was him right there on that play.
And he brings a lot of edge to the game when he plays. So Wanye was another guy that really stood out.
Watch Wanye on this play. Wanye, he had a play in the first drive too, but watch him on this play. He was it this play or is it the next one? He recognized that the quarterback didn't have nowhere to throw the ball, and he came down and put pressure on the quarterback. Kept his eyes in front of him. Look at him right there. He's reading, and then boom. That's the type of physicality we need. He wasn't scared. He made the play, and then, like you said, Andrew Booth Jr. He had good recovery speed on that one catch, and he was there to make the play. So what that shows me is that he was in coverage like he was supposed to be, and that Mike Zimmer's defense is easy for them to understand because he just got here. Did he play with Zim before, or he just?
No, he never played with Zim.
He didn't.
No,
he wasn't with the Vikings when Zim was there.
I don't believe so. So we had to go back and research that. But yeah, he just came right in and just showed up and showed out. So I mean, you could just tell the guy's a player. I mean, just the way he kind of walks with a little swag, which we need, but you could just see the athleticism, and he has the hips that Deshaun Wright never had, and again, just physicality. Deshaun Wright was a pretty good tackler, but not as good as Booth, and then, like I said, Wanye needs to get a lot of play, and then Marshawn Nealon, our rookie, again, just jumped off the screen. I mean, when we draft guys that can play, when we put them out on the field, you can just see their talent. You don't want to draft guys where you're just saying, okay, let's just wait and see what he's going to do. Like Taco, Taco had to play 2 or 3 games. You just never saw that jump off screen talent. But Marshawn Nealon, he's a guy that just jumps off the screen. You can just see that he's a player.
As well as number 43, Kevon Hall. He just jumped off the screen. This is him on this play. I don't know if he's gonna make the team or not, but he just jumped. Look at him right here. He's just a playmaker. He's Yeah, he the one that got the pick six. He's a small guy, but he plays with a lot of physicality, and he been making plays all camp. Everybody been asking about him, number 43, and he's a local guy, I
He went
believe.
to UNT. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to my school, so he jumping off the screen. He should take Eric Scott's spot, in my opinion, on the depth chart. I think he should. I would like to see him make the team, but we'll see. Now Nealon, to me, Nealon is gonna be my sleeper. I think they got him the number 94. I think he gonna be my sleeper. He gonna be the guy that I think is gonna do exceptionally well in this defense, and he's also gonna be the guy that I think is gonna free up Micah to do a
Play
lot of
more
things.
linebacker.
Correct. So Nealon is gonna be my sleeper. I think Nealon is gonna have a big impact on this team, and not a lot of people are talking about Nealon. But when I watch Nealon play, he looks like he's been here before. He looks like he's just playing and he's just comfortable what he's doing. He's not jumping off sides. I think he did get, if I'm not mistaken, he got a penalty yesterday. I don't remember what it was, but I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, he was really active, and then Maris Leofau, our other draft pick, was active. He was just flying all over the field again, playing with that physicality. Again, another guy. We drafted him. We ain't got to wait 7 games or a whole year for him to develop and just see him play. These guys are coming in and they're just jumping off the screen, and that's what you want to see. We can't draft players and then say, "Oh, we got to wait a year or two for them to develop." We don't have that kind of time with our team, and so these guys are going to come in and they're going to play pretty quick. Everybody that we're talking about, Leo Fowl. Who else did we have on defense that we liked? Let's see.
Nealon, Leofau, both the corners, Andrew Booth and Hall. And
now our defensive tackles, that Phillips that we acquired recently, he played again. You could just see right off the screen that he's somebody that's going to contribute. The guy that got in some trouble last week in practice for pushing the coach, his name is, I'm trying to look him up. We were thinking that he might actually get cut, but he ended up hanging around, and he was pretty active as well. Okay, his name escapes me at the moment, but he was a guy that in the practice last week, and they was scrimmaging against the Chargers of the Rams. He made a play and then pushed the coach down. And he actually played pretty good last night as well.
Again, I'm of course I'm with the mentality like you are. Hey, you might have pushed the coach, but I mean, hey, if he giving us that energy, that dog energy, we don't want no choir boys. This is a physical sport and tempers flare sometimes. So, hey, he shouldn't get cut because of that. Now, if he's not backing it up on the field, then that's a different story. But I think from what you're saying, he is backing it up on the field.
I believe that's Albert Hook. Now, Julius Woods showed up again.
You said Julius Woods showed up again?
Did you hear what I said about Julius Woods?
Yeah,
he's a safety, and he showed up also.
So with the safeties,
you saw, Eric Scott play a little better.
Yeah, but with the safeties, how many safeties are they gonna bring on the team? Because shoot, we got 2 that we know for sure is starting, Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. Now, what about we got Wanye, and we got what's his name? The hit stick, Bell. So that's 4 safeties right there. So are they gonna make the team?
Well, what we was talking about last night, you might have to just go long at some of these positions. So probably what we'll do in a show another time is another episode is kind of look at the projection of the roster and try to see who's going to fit where. But yeah, it's going to be some tough cuts at the safety position. We're going to talk about offense here in a minute. The receiver position is going to be tough. It's going to be some tough cuts that they have to make because They got some guys that can play, and a lot of these guys, when you cut them, they're not going to make it to the practice squad. So it's going to be kind of a tough call. But what we were talking about last night is I want to see the Cowboys go short at the offensive line. These Josh Balls, these Waleskos, these people shouldn't just be hanging around. We can try to figure out a way to go short on the O-line. I know that's kind of hard, but if we got to, let some of those guys go to keep a player like a Julius Woods, they need to look at that because they really are hurting themselves, trying to keep some of these linemen that are just not really doing anything. Josh Ball, Walesko last night, same thing. They're not really bringing anything to the table. They just out there filling space. So now they got to start looking at.
That's a good segue. That's a good segue into talking about the offense. Now, but I do want to say, and this goes back to what I've been saying. Now, I do like the fact that even though we had a passive offseason, now this is a two-part thing, and you explained this to me, yeah. So it's like we had a passive offseason. We didn't really do much in the offseason, and Jerry is alluding to the mentality of he's making these young guys step up and play, or you will not be here next year. You're playing on 1-year contracts. You have to get it done when it counts. Now that will make sense if this is the flip side of that coin. Now that will make sense if next year and the year after that, when you don't have any cap room, when you do have cap room, that you do go out and you spend in free agency. If you do what you did this year again next year and the next year, then this doesn't make sense. But if you're gonna actually keep the good players, put them on contracts, and then get active and sign better players in free agency, then this would make sense because your dogs are gonna stay and your choir boys are gonna go. Now, being long, and so being long on these positions, with your defense, I don't think we need to be long on our defense. I think our defense is pretty much set. I think that our defense is good. I think that we putting too much focus on the defense. Me personally, I feel like they got Zim. They did their thing in the draft, and they got a lot of players on defense. But I feel like our offense is where we need to be long at. But you made a good point with the with the offensive line. But like our running back situation, we don't really have a good running back that up to my standards. But the running backs that we do have, it's gonna be hard not to keep 4 running backs. I mean, you got because really speaking, we got Zeke. Okay, really speaking, Deuce, Royce Freeman, and Rico Dowdle, they're all better than Zeke. If you were trying to win, those would be your starting running back. And Hunter Luepke. Those would be your 4 starting running backs. And it's gonna be hard to take 4 or 5 running backs, but that would be the position. If you're gonna do running back by committee, and you got all of these guys that's hovering around the same line, they're all better than Zeke. So the Cowboys need to think about that, and receiver too. So I'll let you talk about the receiver room.
Well, to piggyback on what you're saying, so Zeke is the elephant in the room, and there's still some talk that they're going to look at another back, when the final cuts get down. I know there's a couple of teams that have, a ton of backs on their roster, like Miami, for example. So I still think it's a possibility that they bring another back in. Now, again, the elephant in the room is, are they going to just keep Zeke and just show their loyalty to him, even though he's not one of the better backs on the team? And then Hunter Luepke, we keep talking about him, but the bottom line on Hunter Luepke is they just don't play him. There ain't any reason for Hunter Luepke not to be playing in these preseason games. Now, I know they don't want to get guys hurt that they're counting on, but I just want to see a game where Hunter Luepke actually plays. We keep talking about him, but McCarthy just doesn't play him. They gave him that 1 carry in Miami last year, and he fumbled, and we never see him again. So if he was somebody that McCarthy really liked, that bad play that he had wouldn't have meant that he wasn't going to play the rest of the season. So I'm curious to see if they're really going to use him, and if they're not, he might be the guy that's on the bubble. But I think if all was fair, I don't see Zeke making this team. And then, like we talked about in one of our earlier episodes, what I want to see from Zeke, if he is retained, I just want to see Zeke play, goal line, short yardage, and get him involved in the passing game. What we don't want to see is Zeke out here just carrying the ball, 20, 15, 20 times a game like he's, 2016 to 2017 Zeke, those days are gone. So
yeah.
And then your boy showed up last night, Deuce. And so that's another kind of elephant in the room, because we know that he's someone that the fans really like. His dad is a scout. So, and we have to ask ourselves too, if they cut Deuce, will he make it to the practice squad? I'm not really sure that he will. So, but what some other teams around the league might do, they might just say, okay, we know the Cowboys cut him, we know the situation, and they may just not want to claim him. But it's going to be some tough decisions there.
This is what I think will happen, and I hope this does not happen. Royce Freeman, Deuce. Let's start off with Deuce, Royce Freeman, Hunter Luepke. They get cut, they go on another team, and they're gonna be great. That's what I think happened. They get cut, they go to another team, they're gonna be utilized, and they're gonna play good, just like Trey Lance. We'll look up. Trey Lance we're gonna talk about Trey Lance later. We got a lot to say about Trey Lance, so I'm gonna leave that for later. But let's just say Deuce gets cut. He'll be my personal belief is he gets cut, he's 1,000-yard rusher somewhere else. That's what I think. I think that they will use him. Somebody else will use him in the backfield. Somebody will use him in the passing game. He's just a mismatch problem. I feel like he has a good opportunity to be just what he was in college somewhere else. It just doesn't make, to me, if you were to just look at Deuce, if you were to just take the size out of the equation and you look at his stats from the time that he was in high school to college, there's no way that you would tell me that this person with these stats would get to the NFL and not make a team. It doesn't make sense. Now, it would be a mystery. Now, if you looked at his size, you say, oh, okay, that's why. But just like you said, Mike McCarthy, it's not Deuce's fault that every time that he got the ball last year, he got hit in the backfield. That's not his problem. That's not his fault. It's just like Hunter Luepke. He fumbled the ball. It's okay. It happens. Tony Pollard fumbled, I'm sure, in a game or two. I mean, it happens. Zeke has fumbled before. So it's just like those players will go to another team and they would get playing time and they would be good for another team. That's what I think will happen. They're not going to make the practice squad. Just like the receivers. If they were to not, if Flournoy was to not make the team, he's gonna go somewhere else. He's not gonna make it to the practice squad.
I think Flournoy makes the team. Now, someone was talking to one of the other content creators, which I agree with. I forget who it was. It might have been Landlord from Alabama. Shout out to Landlord. He said he doesn't understand why people are saying he's already made the team. I agree with that. I don't think Brooks is as good a player as Flournoy. I just don't see it. So
yeah, Brooks hasn't done anything to jump up. Well, didn't he fumble yesterday? Oh no, that was Jalen Moreno-Cropper. But Brooks, I mean, which one? Brooks is the one that's this is his second year here, right?
Yeah, Brooks, to me, he reminds me more of Gallup. To me, he's kind of got long legs. He kind of long strider. We need guys on our team that when they catch the football, they can make it happen and have run after catch. All of these guys that brought what Gallup brought. You running sideline routes, catching the ball as you're going out of bounds, catching the ball and you're catching slants and you're going down. That's not really doing anything for our offense. And the receivers that we have, even Cropper has more athleticism and more rack than Brooks. So I'm not understanding why we have all this Brooks love. But I'm thinking that Flournoy, in my opinion, he should make the team, because he just has so much more potential. And he had a rough game one last night. Bounced back, had a really good game, had a touchdown. Trey Lance in that first game wasn't really helping his receivers out. He threw a pass to Cropper too. He was running a slant route. Cropper was open. He threw it behind him. So, but Trey settled down, which did, help the receivers. We saw John Stevens, tight end position, kind of get a couple of catches. So once Trey settled down, he was able to help our receivers out. So Flournoy showed up last night. He's making my team if it's my call. I'm going with him over Brooks. I am.
Yeah, I'm going with him over Brooks too. He reminds me of remember that guy that we traded for, or maybe not traded for, that we signed, that came from the Steelers, that hurt his foot and he didn't get to play a couple years ago.
You talking about James Washington? Who reminds you of James Washington?
Florida remind me of a young James Washington. He got the same kind of build. He's just an athlete.
He's faster, I think.
Fast guy.
I think he has better rack than James Washington. James Washington, to me, was another more of a big possession guy. I don't know. It's Oklahoma State days. Mm-hmm. He did have some pretty good rack. I don't know what happened to him when he got into the league. To me, he kind of got too heavy. He wasn't. I don't know. So we got Flournoy. We saw John Stevens do some things. Your boy Schoon, he was running around looking like the refrigerator, just refrigerator on wheels. Had a couple of plays where he's going to always catch the ball and immediately either fall or immediately get tackled. And he did get rocked. He got rocked a couple of times. Trey Lance threw him a medicine ball, and he kind of got dinged up. But you could just see Stevens, see Schoon. It just jumps off the screen. Stevens is so much better in terms of athleticism, the rack opportunity. So, and everybody can see that. So we really got a political situation going here with Schoon, and with Schoon and Mozzie. I think we said on an early episode, we're not pulling against them. They're on our team. We want to see them be successful, but at some point you got to just look at it and see, hey, we got better players. I'm gonna always go back to what I said in one of our early episodes. I'm gonna say, what would Jimmy do? Jimmy didn't play that political stuff. If you were the better player, you were gonna play. It didn't really matter where you were drafted.
I mean, and let's just be honest. I mean, what football? I mean, let's just be honest. What football? Anybody that has football sense, or I won't even say football sense. Anybody that has common sense will just say, if you're trying to win a game, the better player is the one that should play. It's not about where did you get drafted at? That's only here. If Schoon was on another team, nobody knew where he got drafted, he wouldn't play. He wouldn't play. I mean, what has Schoon did to say that he's better than John Stevens?
Nothing.
What has he done to say that he's better than Hendershot?
Hendershot has been kind of sketchy.
Where is Brevin Spain, Jordan, or Brevin Spain?
He had a rough game last night. They say he missed some blocks. I think he did have a drop. I don't think it was an easy catch. So that wasn't one of his better games. I think he played better in the first game. Now that's going to be another player that we're talking about the roster. If you cut him, is he going to make it to the practice squad? So the Cowboys, this draft, they just did a better job of drafting. So some of these guys that they drafted, they got talent, and I don't know if they're going to make it to the practice squad. Now, some of the players they drafted in the previous years, like the Nashawn Wrights of the world, they could have made it back to the practice squad. But this group of players that we just drafted, they just have more talent. So I don't know if these guys are going to make it to the practice squad. Brevin Spanford, I don't think he makes it to the practice squad. So it's going to be a tough call. Like we're going to look at this roster projection in another episode, but it's going to be some guys that's going to get cut. That's going to they're not going to make it to the practice squad. Now, Trey Lance, let's talk about him right quick. So he played a lot better got off to a rocky start. He really settled down in the second half. You know, the thing that hurts him when he starts the game, his passes are really high. He's overthrowing everybody, and he kind of rushes his throws. But in the second half, he settled down, got the ball down, made it much easier for the receivers to catch. He was more accurate. He got out of the pocket and ran. So, you know, one of the things that we got to talk about is there were a couple of content creators that I listened to last night, including Boss Cowboy. Shout out to Boss. Boss is saying that he thinks Trey Lance should be the number 2. It's not even a question. And so we had some other people that were saying they're not sure about that. But so here's the thing that I'm going to say about the number 2 quarterback when you're looking at Trey Lance and Cooper Rush. So Cooper Rush, watching him play, we know what he can do. You know, he just kind of methodical. His arm doesn't look as strong as it did to me. But the thing you got to look at in the backup quarterback, what a lot of people will say when they look at the backup quarterback, they'll say, well, if you lose your starting quarterback, your season is over. And you can say that for, you know, Kansas City, for Buffalo, for, you know, look at what happened to Cincinnati when Burrow went down. But the question that you should be asking yourself is, what if your quarterback just pulls a hamstring or a quad muscle and they're going to miss 1 or 2 games? You know, Dak hit his hand on a defender's helmet a couple of years ago and sprung his thumb. The question you need to ask is, can your backup quarterback win a game or 2? Now, Cooper Rush, when Dak went out, I think he won 4 or 5 games. So we know what he can do. But the question you need to ask yourself about Trey is, if he's the number 2 quarterback, can he win a game? Can he win 2 games? And I believe, based on what we saw last night, if he plays the way he played in the second half, I believe he can. So it's going to be a tough decision. And you look at what they're paying Trey Lance, they're paying him a lot of money.
$30 million.
Can you justify paying him that much money and he's your number 3 quarterback?
Well, like I said earlier, that really, you know, that's Jerry and them fault. Jerry the one that did that. So it's just like, you know, if he's the 3rd string quarterback, because he's playing like it. What you play like in your contract should be totally separate. Even though they are the same, it should not have an effect on where you're playing and how much playing time you got. Just because you got $100 million does not mean that you need to get the ball 100 million times. It just doesn't work that way. So there's a lot of things that you said that I want to kind of break down and piggyback off of. And I'm gonna kind of go from the end to the beginning. Now, you said that Cooper Rush won us some games, and with Voch saying, is it Voch that said that Trey Lance should be the backup quarterback?
Boss Cowboy.
Boss Cowboy did. Shout out to Boss Cowboy. Now, we have to also remember, and I think Boss Cowboy said this too. We have to also remember that when Cooper Rush won them 5 games, our defense is probably playing the best that they've ever played in the last 10 years, I'd say. They had our defense was so awesome. Our defense kept us in every single game, and almost to a fault. You know, our defense kind of withered at the end of the year because they played so lights out during those first 5 games, doing those 5 games where Dak was missing. So, but to answer your question, yeah, Trey Lance can definitely give us that same opportunity. I feel, in my opinion, Trey Lance can give us that same opportunity that Cooper Rush did. I believe so. I think so. And another thing that I wanted to piggyback off of, now you don't agree with me on this a lot of times, but it's, to me, I stick with it. Trey Lance, at the beginning of his games, he's always throwing the ball high. He's always he has to settle down. But I think that that's a part of sports in general. I don't think that that's just Trey Lance, because look at Dak. Every year, I don't know what it is with Mike McCarthy, and I don't know why he doesn't understand this, but every game, the first play of the game or the second play of the game, he decides to call a play where Dak throws the ball 80 yards down the field. The guy is always open, and Dak always overthrows him. It never fails. And that's because he has to warm up. It's just like, could you expect Tiger Woods to hit a hole in one on the first putt, on the first drive? No, it's not happening. Would you expect Steph Curry, if Steph Curry has to go to the 3-point line and his goal is to make 23s, you think what's the likelihood of him making the first one? Now, the rest of them he'll probably make, but the first one it's probably a 50-50 chance because he got to get warmed up. So it's just like with Dak always complete his passes at the end of once he get warmed up, them balls be spot on. Look at Detroit game, he was overthrowing them, but then on that second drive when he had to hit CD down the field, he hit him. Look at Thanksgiving game. On the Thanksgiving game, prime example. On the first drive, he overthrew Brandon Cooks. He overthrew him. I mean, it was just like on the first play of the game, he overthrew him and Brandon Cooks was open. But later on in the game, he completed to Convante Turpin. He completed to Brandon Cooks the same play because he got to get warmed up. Trey Lance was the same way yesterday. Now, I'm not a big Trey Lance fan. I am a Trey Lance fan because he plays for the Cowboys and I'm rooting for him. So, but other than that, I was just calling him for what it is. Last night, he flipped my opinion. Last night, I was giving up on him. I was like, nah, this ain't going to work.
Who would be your number 2?
Trey Lance.
Okay.
I mean, Cooper Rush and Trey Lance, to me, I mean, we've seen what Cooper Rush can do. I take that back. I'll flip a coin. To me, it really don't matter. I feel like both of them is good. And their contracts don't have anything to do with anything. But if I was another team and I wanted to trade for one of them because my quarterback went down, I would trade for Trey Lance.
I'm leaning towards Trey Lance because of his mobility. I think, if he had to start a couple of games for us, that would be a factor. So, I kind of agree with you. It's kind of a coin flip, but I would really like to see Trey with the number 1 offense with CD, Ferguson, and the offensive line, and just see what he could do. I wouldn't have a problem at all if Dak went down for 2 or 3 games. You started Trey Lance and just kind of see what happens. And if you had to go over to
Cooper Rush,
it's a tough call, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Trey. The big factor for me is just the trade. If we had traded a 5th round pick for him, if he had a contract where he was making less than what he's making, to me it makes a whole lot more sense. But the way they, Jerry just did the trade without talking to Will McClay and Steven and McCarthy, and then the contract itself, that's kind of the elephant in the room. But I'm kind of liking the way he's settling in and playing. He played better in the second half last week as well. So I'm not really sure he's gonna play. I'm not really sure that he's gonna play in this upcoming game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would make him play at least the first quarter, but the contract is hideous. Ain't no getting around that.
It's a bad contract.
But the draft pick, I can give us a little slack on the draft pick. Number 1, because we didn't even have a draft last year. We didn't even have one. Not one player from last year that we drafted.
You're talking about the 23 draft.
We didn't even have one. None of them played. Everybody was hurt. Schoolmaker was out of there. Didn't nobody play. So we didn't even have a draft. So
the best player in that draft is going to be Overshawn.
And he got hurt the first year.
Yeah. So that 23 draft it was a disaster.
So, and then on top of that, Trey Lance was drafted originally for 3 number 1s.
Number 1s, yeah.
So we wasted a 4. Okay, but that $33 million contract, that's hideous. You can't get around that.
That 4th round pick that you lost could have been in Braylon Edwards, Braylon Allen, the running back
from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Where did he go?
That's who you would have. I can't remember, but I saw a highlight in the first preseason game, and he was doing work. He was just running 7-8 yards a carry. He's a big back. Yeah. Which I don't like big running backs, but he was looking really good. So that's who you would probably have on your team right now. if you hadn't taken
And
Trey
I want
Lance.
to ask you this. I want to get your opinion on this. Is Trey Lance an NFL starting quarterback?
I think he can be in time, and I really like what the Packers did with Jordan Love. Jordan Love just didn't play for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and learn the game. I really believe if you gave Trey Lance 3 years with a good coordinator, with a good quarterback coach, I think he could end up being a good player. I don't know if he's gonna be good as Jordan Love, but I think
My
he
only
will.
thing, the only thing that make me question that is that a part of his problem is that he hasn't played.
Yeah.
That's a big part of his problem. So I feel like the reason why he's doing better now is because he's playing more. It's because he's playing more. If he got to sit, he needs to be. Look at it. This is a question I have to myself, and it kind of goes back to what I asked you about: is he an NFL quarterback in 3 years? If he sits behind Dak for 3 years, in 3 years, who's going to be the better quarterback between him and the guy from Carolina?
The quarterback for Carolina that played for Alabama.
Yeah.
I think Trey Lance is gonna be better.
Even if he sit behind the guy for 3 years?
I do. I just think, to me, Trey Lance just has a better skill set.
So that means Trey Lance is an NFL starting quarterback because he can go to Carolina and take his job and do a better job than him today.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not impressed with him at all.
Yeah.
So
the Texans made the right decision by getting C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud is way better now. We're gonna be playing the Texans, and so that's gonna be a really, really good game. So I guess we can kind of wrap it up. So did we hit everybody on offense we wanted to hit? Of course, Tyler Guyton just played great. This draft is looking like a Jimmy Johnson draft. You got 4 players in this draft. They're either going to be starting or they're going to be playing a lot. So this was it's a home run of a draft, I think. And everybody's Tyler Guyton is going to be your starting left tackle.
Cooper Beebe
is going to be your starting center. There's still some kind of back and forth with him and Hoffman, but I will say I really like the way Hoffman is battling. He's a competitor.
I'm gonna say this before we go. I was watching Cooper Beebe yesterday on the highlights. While watching him today on the highlights, the stuff that we seen him doing in college, how he was mauling people. He was doing that yesterday.
Yeah, he had a Larry Allen play. The play I saw, he put his guy in the dirt, and then he picked up the other guy that was coming through. So that was a Larry Allen type play where you take out 2 players on the same play. I saw that. So, and then they had some highlights last week that I saw from some other content creators. Well, his footwork, him just being able to get downfield and block was a lot better than Hoffman. So I think they hit a home run with this draft. The guys that we got, you're looking at 4 impact players, and then some of the other guys they took late are going to be playing too. So it's going to end up being a really good draft.
And then you got Zim, and one thing that I can already tell about Zim and that we like about Zim that's totally different from Dan Quinn is Zim is finding out these guys' talents and he's using it. You can tell because they're right in the position that they need to be in. You could tell. Have we seen Micah at end as light in practice? We ain't seen him that much at end. He gonna be all over the field. It is just like, Zim. Our draft was so good in my opinion. We got too many players. We gonna have to cut some.
It's gonna be some tough cuts, like you said, and they're not gonna make it to the practice squad. So, but yeah, Zim, the way he utilizes his players, if you can play a role like Izzy McCormick, he's been someone that I just never understood why Dan Quinn didn't play him. So you saw him playing last night, and last night he was playing in the nickel. So Izzy is talented. He should be out there playing. So you got a lot of guys that's the other thing that they did in the 90s. They just used so many players. I mean, they just had multiple sets of nickel and dime, Jimmy really brought that into the league where you just had like a rotation of guys just coming on and off the field, and everybody ate. It wasn't just we're gonna put this player at edge like they do Michael and just not Micah and just let him stay there. You just saw so many players and role players coming on and off the field, and I think Zim comes from that environment where he's gonna try to figure out. And I notice a little bit of controversy right now with Donovan Wilson. People are saying that he's not gonna fit in. Zim is gonna figure out how to use Donovan Wilson, but he's gonna use him the way that's gonna really showcase his talent. He's not gonna put him downfield covering receivers, 15, 20, 30 yards downfield. Zim is not gonna do that. He's gonna let Wanya and some other guys do that, but Donovan Wilson is gonna have a spot on this defense, and he's gonna be effective. So that's the thing that Zim does. So, but I want to see Izzy. We got Bland returning. I think there's a spot for Jordan Lewis as well. So,
we didn't even talk about that. So how are they gonna manage having? Because Kalen Carson is a lot. I think he should be number 3, honestly. So how they gonna have? Well, you need Trayvon Diggs insurance. We ain't really seen him, and you know how those knee injuries go. You think you good until you got to make a hard cut, and it's in your brain. Like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, you got Trayvon, you got Bland. Those are your 2 starters. Gilmore got signed yesterday, so ain't no more Gilmore.
Who signed Gilmore?
The Vikings.
Really?
Yep. So you got
Kalen Carson.
Yep.
You got Booth, Jordan Lewis.
Yep. So
then your safeties, you got Wanye. Izzy is really a tweener.
Well, you got. Let's start with the starters. You got Wilson and you got Hooker. Then you got Wanye and you got Bell.
Yeah, Bell showed up again.
And
I think Zim is going to figure out a way to play all of those guys. It's going to be, different matchups. He's going to see, who does what best, and that's Zim's specialty.
Well, he going to do a lot of too. He going to run a 5-2. He going to have 2 linebackers instead of 3, and that's going to give us the opportunity to have the tweeners and more, and that's going to give us the opportunity to have 3 safeties.
And we saw last night he's playing a lot of cover too. See, Dan Quinn, he played a lot of cover 1. That was a problem. So last night, one of the things that the Raiders were having problems with when their quarterback was dropping back, it was so many guys in the secondary covering parts of the field. They didn't really know where to go with the ball. And that's what you want. Dan Quinn just made it so easy for quarterbacks to just pick us apart. And then when they start running the ball, because of the scheme that he was playing, of course, everybody's trying to run upfield to get sacks. Just left a lot of holes in their defense. You're gonna have to work the football down the field against Dallas this year. You're not gonna have no easy throws, no easy plays. You move the ball on this defense, you're gonna have to earn it. And so,
also, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And then on top of that, if you do have a big run up the middle, it's gonna be 1. You're gonna have 1 big run, and then after that 1 big run, Zim is gonna say he's gonna adjust, and then after that, it's gonna be back to cover 2. And see, you know how you beat cover 2 is is basically running the ball. Once you get past when you make them over pursue, and then it's ball game. So if your quarterback is not mobile, they're not gonna be able to do nothing in cover 2. You're gonna have to make them decide what they're gonna do. Are they gonna run or are they gonna pass? You got to make them decide, and you got to go mano a mano. If your team is playing in cover 2, then you're gonna have to say, my guys got to beat your guys. And if you can't do that, you're gonna lose.
And what's gonna make it even more difficult is you're not gonna be able to break the huddle every down and know where Micah is. He's at the right edge. He's just there every play. That's not gonna happen.
That's horrible. No,
he's gonna be coming from the middle. He's gonna be on the left. He's gonna be on the right. He's gonna move them around. That's just gonna make it. It's gonna make the defense just a whole lot better. So we're looking forward to seeing what this defense is gonna bring with Zim. Really excited about what Zim is gonna bring to the table. So we can go ahead and wrap up. So we appreciate you guys watching our video. We're trying to get 100 subscribers so we can start going live. And as I mentioned in some of our earlier shows, Jules, I tell you what, is doing a really good job producing. He's going to be making some changes to our content and the way it looks and the way our presentation looks. So you're going to see some things, we're going to try to make it really, really, pizzazzy, as we say. Yeah. And so, but looking forward to that. So, but appreciate you guys watching our latest episode, and we'll come back with another episode later in the week. And make sure you like and subscribe our show, and so that we can get a lot more people watching, and hopefully you guys enjoy our content. And as I said, I'm a 3rd generation Cowboy fan. Jules, I tell you what, is a 4th generation Cowboy fan. So, and he's a numbers guy, the stats guy, and he does a lot of studying on a lot of the numbers. And so I'm just going to bring kind of, my spin to it from a Cowboy OG standpoint. And so hopefully you guys really like our show and our content.
Yeah, so make sure you all like, comment, and subscribe, and we really appreciate the followers that we do have and all of the likes that we do have. And so you all continue to help us get that 100 followers so we can be more interactive, and so we can get our spot on this Cowboy content YouTube platform and all the other platforms that we're going to have coming soon. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you all on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.